Now, folks, you're not really going to see this topic really brought up on any other show in this fashion, and it is the following quote: Red Pine Lake exposed, as game dev shows a bait and a switch. Now, I'm going to let Mustafa take it away from here because he is actually a game developer, and we love having game developers on network shows. Especially if they're content creators too, because that way we can build a bridge. So, Mustafa, why don't you tell everyone, or provide context rather, for this situation?
Yeah. Okay. So I made a video over the weekend. I released a video about the situation with Red Pine Lake. Basically, when everyone started talking about it, it just didn't sound right to me because they're saying censorship. Like that was the main word that I kept on hearing, censorship, and also some people were saying the game's being censored. Smash JT mentioned before the show that he didn't say that the game was censored, though I did see a lot of people were going with this, and from their social media, a lot of people were saying, hey, we got to fight censorship, and they were basically saying, we got to fight censorship. So let me get I have my notes up.
It's Mustafa, it's all right. It's all right. Okay. Because I brought up, because I typed in, folks, Red Pine Lake on X, and the first thing I saw, I shit you not, was Red Pine Lake responding to our good friend Mustafa. Okay, folks. So let's just say they took it a bit personally. And let me tell you something from my experience as a content creator and from what my mentor taught me. If you strike a nerve, you've got a fucking point. So why don't you continue, Mustafa, before we
So my video, I made these following points. These were the main points I made in the video. First of all, I stated in the video, I pointed out that the ruling that prevented the game from proceeding with not the game, but the store page from being published was a rule that all capsule art needs to be PG-13. And this is not a new ruling, because a lot of people are saying that this was tied with the MasterCard, Visa, PayPal situation. This has actually been around since at least 2022, maybe longer. I'm not sure, but I was able to find in the developer documents that this rule was there at least since 2022, that all capsule art needs to be PG-13. I also said, after I point this out in the video, I say whether the capsule art is PG-13 or not, I'm not stating it is or isn't. That was never my point. My point was never to say, like, yeah, this is fine, this is PG-13. I never said that, and I made that point clear in my video. The other thing, the rejection was the capsule art due to the guidelines for the store. Every single store, or at least every major store, whether it is Steam, whether it's any other video game store, or even Amazon, every store has guidelines for the storefront page. So the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because if we start saying the guidelines for the storefront is the same thing as censoring, it's muddying the definition of censorship.
Because it creates it does create a dangerous precedent. And folks, you may be wondering why would the network stand by community guidelines when the network has a history of, setting off community guidelines? Well, let me make it clear to you, ladies and gentlemen, right here, right now. The network, just like our predecessor that got wiped out by YouTube simply because we called a stinking digital prostitute, the network is not afraid to cross lines. Okay? I'm not afraid to cross lines. Neither is my mentor, who has great times crossing lines on Cancel This Podcast. We dare to say the unsayable. We dare to do the undoable. And speaking for this show specifically, every person on this panel could easily host their own network show. So come on, wipe us out. I'll make 4 more. I'm that sort of guy, folks. I really am. But there is no smoke without fire. And I think we have to be very careful not to set dangerous precedents and not to pursue witch hunts, especially when Steam is going to go through a transitional phase, and it could easily turn into another Nintendo, another devil of gaming, if we start muddying the waters like this, because these companies won't give devs and gamers the benefit of the doubt if devs and gamers and content creators muddy the waters and comparing their community policies with that of censorship. And this is coming from someone who hates the idea of community policies, be it on YouTube, Rumble, Steam, Epic. I hate fucking community guidelines, and I have every reason to. So does Jose. He's literally the only creator to ever be censored on Rumble. Not even Nick Fuentes has that fucking distinction. So Jose, what do you make of this whole situation from what you've heard?
Well, here's the thing about it. If you're going to come out and you're going to come out with a game, it's not a AAA game or anything like that, you do have to be very transparent with your audience. You can't just say, oh, I'm being censored if you're not. You have to, basically just be straight about it. If you're saying, look, the community standards are unfair or whatever, that's one thing. But if you're trying to say they're trying to censor us or trying to censor our game and stuff like that, and they're not, don't like you said, don't create the witch hunt, because also it makes us look bad. We're trying to regain the cultural space, but if we start looking really bad in that space, that gives the people who really are against us a mile. That's why a lot of the infighting, a lot of the fracturing that we've seen has not benefited us, as we've seen a lot of people culturally, sort of attack each other. But we do have to be sort of unified in the front of, let's not, push falsehoods or half truths or anything like that, just to try to get something going on. Because like you said, we could easily prod a company that's sort of in the sensitive spot like Steam is into the other direction, back into the arms of our true enemy. And
I want to make this clear, because I did cover this, I believe, on Thursday on Reigns of Rejects with the 40K Empress, right? We talked about the topic, we covered the situation, and we covered it along the lines of censorship being a bad thing. There's no place for censorship.
Absolutely.
Regardless. But I did find the whole situation very suspicious, especially given the reason for said censorship and how I found it to be basic and tame, right?
Well, yeah. Here's the thing, Digny. It's manufactured outrage can be very fortuitous to a company right now. Look at the Harry Potter Streisand effect. The left sort of goes, oh, we don't like this game because of J.K. Rowling, this and that. And it created a Streisand effect that allowed them to effectively market Harry Potter to everybody else, because everyone else in the cultural aisle said, I'm going to buy this game despite these blue and pink-haired weirdos, right?
Well, you're not the only one to make that narrative argument, Jose, because I know not a lot of people in our community like Spoon, Smash JT most of all, because Spoon has been very critical of him of late. Yeah. But Spoon was one of the first creators to tell me how suspicious this whole situation was and how it could have been used as a means of attracting publicity to get an indie project off the ground. It's not unprecedented, folks. Exactly. People have got to make a name for themselves somehow.
You know what? Look. In my day job, Digny, I work in the advertising field. So what I'll say about that is that the one thing that we sort of gloss over as content creators ourselves is that everything we do is a form of free advertising if we discuss it in these spaces. And a lot of these companies are looking like that. They're not going to try to buy a commercial or an ad campaign. They're going to try to draw up something to get us to talk about them, because that's the most effective way to get word of their product out there now.
Exactly.
So, I just there's a couple more points I want to make that I made in my video, just really quick. So, in my video, I mentioned that the enforcement of these rules, are going to be uneven regardless, because humans are going to enforce the rules, especially when you have a rule that says PG-13. And I also mentioned there's a possibility that some of the Valve staff members are they might be more lenient towards adult-only games, because a lot of people on Twitter were pointing out, oh, Steam are hypocrites. I mean, I'm not here to defend Steam or Valve. I don't care if you like them or not. But a lot of people are like, oh, they're hypocrites. Look at all these adult-only games, and they're posting the games with all the nasty, like women with
intercourse with Austrian
body
painter.
Parts.
Intercourse with Austrian painter.
Yeah, just whatever. Like all the craziest things. I don't want to get this video taken down, but
11 episodes in, you have nothing to worry about.
My point being is that that there is a possibility that when you check that this game has adult only content, the person that's reviewing it might be like, okay, this is all right, because of the fact that when the game is adult only, it's invisible to everybody unless they have that enabled.
It's a different criteria. Criteria.
That is it might be an unofficial regulation. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny it. I even say that in the video. And but the last point I want to bring up from my video is that their conduct about this whole situation to me comes off as unprofessional. Like with that screenshot that they shared showing, well, first of all, they mainly showed the responses that they were getting, and only one of the response that they shown had their own write-up. And when you read it, it had all these buzzwords, and I point out all the buzzwords, and it was written as if they were trying to have a viral post. Like they were trying to get people riled up and, excited that, we're anti.
It's narrative control.
Yes,
exactly. Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
They could have done this more professionally, because a Steam page rejection, a storefront rejection, is very common. You don't have only one chance. You can resubmit. You can try to make changes. They could have asked, be like, hey, what changes can we make to have this pass? Or they can, what they ended up doing was ask for another person, which that worked. They could have done that earlier. They could have asked for a supervisor. Like, there's so many more professional ways than for them sending this big speech about how they are anti-censorship and they have, a diverse team and this and that. Like, none of these things matter. Like, you're doing business with Valve. You have to act professionally with your business partner. And that was one of my major points in the video.
Well, folks, it's not unprecedented for someone to build a narrative to gain sympathy. I mean, look at John De La Rose and his books. Quite simply, folks, this is a man. He's a textbook example of someone who can masterfully weave a narrative and double down on that narrative, right? I'm not saying we're seeing a similar case here. I'm saying there's no smoke without fire, okay? As a content creator, I'm not a game developer. I'm a content creator. And when you try to build a narrative that appeals to content creation, not on YouTube, but in this case on X, to try and make yourself a topic of the day, you see the signs, right? You see the signs. Are you content creator first, developer second, or are you developer first, content creator second? Sorry to say this, Mustafa, but most good game devs are not good content creators. Look at David Jeff. Okay, this is a guy who was I wouldn't say the mastermind, but he was one of the forerunners for the development of God of War, Twisted Metal, among other projects. His legacy should have guaranteed him success in content creation, but no. Let me shill weed instead of Blue Chew. Okay, always shill Viagra, folks, especially on Rumble.